deadly Listeria outbreak from heat and eat meals. Ready-to-cook chicken fettuccine meals have been recalled as they may contain the outbreak strain of Listeria monocytogenes, which has so far killed 4, with 17 confirmed illnesses and 16 hospitalizations in the US. The Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and the Food Safety Inspection Service, FSIS, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, are investigating. On the surface, this looks like an ordinary recall, with a pathogen found and products recalled. However, this is not a new outbreak. The illnesses actually started in July last year, with 5 of the confirmed cases falling ill in 2024. The largest number of new cases was in January 2025, and the most recent case was confirmed in May 2025. The other thing that makes this unusual is that the food is not ready to eat, but must be reheated before consumption. Listeria is deactivated by heat and doesn't leave toxins in food after cooking. Consequently, listeriosis outbreaks are almost always linked to ready-to-eat foods that aren't heated before consumption, such as sandwiches and deli meats. In the early months of the outbreak, authorities knew the illnesses were linked, but didn't know which foods had caused them. Some months into the outbreak, the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service, the FSIS, commenced a traceback on chicken fettuccine after some victims reported eating it. They traced the illnesses to brands sold by Walmart and Kroger, that's big retailers in the US, and produced by the contract manufacturer Fresh Realm. In March 2025, the FSIS found the outbreak strain in a sample of Fresh Realm produced chicken fettuccine. While food from that lot was not distributed to the market, it appears that other lots continue to be produced and or distributed by Fresh Realm. The FDA recall was announced 3 months later on the 18th of June and includes products produced any time before the 17th of June, with best before days up to the 27th. The FSIS and FDA say they haven't determined the source of the contamination in the product. The FDA says its testing of FDA-regulated ingredients is complete, and the outbreak strain of Listeria wasn't found in the ingredients. Fresh Realm appears to have continued to make product after the outbreak strain was found in their product and before the source of the contamination was known. The CDC said on the 18th of June that it continues to see ill people reporting this specific food and is concerned that contamination is still occurring. Wow. The recalled products are Market Side brand in a small, one serving pack of grilled chicken Alfredo with fettuccine, Market Side in a larger pack, and a brand called Home Chef chicken fettuccine in a small single serve pack. Are consumers to blame? 2 of the 3 products in the recall, chicken Alfredo fettuccine heat and eat meals made by the manufacturer Fresh Realm for Walmart and Kroger-owned brands, state heat thoroughly on their front labels. Thorough heating would eliminate Listeria, so what went wrong? Was it that consumers didn't heat the product in accordance with instructions? Or were the instructions inadequate, for example, by not properly accounting for variations in consumers' appliances? Or did some consumers cross-contaminate their meals, perhaps by plating out the product before microwaving and using the same utensils afterwards, or licking a utensil used to stir the meal during heating? Whatever the reason, the products weren't thoroughly heated, consumer mistakes like underheating and cross-contamination are reasonably foreseeable. And it follows that Listeria monocytogenes is a reasonably foreseeable hazard in heat and eat foods, at least in my book. 2 approaches to Listeria in foods that require heating. Foods that don't require heating before eating, like bacon. Just kidding. My 10-year-old son, or he was 10 years old at the time, revealed to me that he secretly liked eating bacon raw straight from the fridge. You can imagine my horror. Anyway, foods that don't require heating before eating, like sandwiches, deli meats, smoked salmon, and patisserie items, are considered ready to eat and must be free from listeria. Foods that must be cooked before eating aren't subject to the same regulatory microbiological limits as ready-to-eat foods. However, many food companies acknowledge that consumers often fail to follow cooking instructions properly and set their pathogen limits accordingly. Regulators also acknowledge the dangers of consumer misuse. In 2021, the country of Australia introduced a new food micro-regulation to ensure that breaded, ready-to-cook chicken products like nuggets, schnitzels, and similar items will be free from salmonella, protecting consumers who ignore cooking instructions and eat them raw. A similar rule was introduced in the US in 2024 for stuffed breaded chicken products such as chicken Kiev. The risks are real. In the past few years, there have been a number of recalls of frozen vegetable products for Listeria, even though such products always carry warnings to cook thoroughly before eating. Frozen veg companies that recalled their products for Listeria weren't being over-anxious. Research published in the Journal of Food Protection earlier this year revealed that approximately 9% of American consumers consume frozen vegetables raw, and 40% don't follow cooking instructions for frozen vegetables. What about heat and eat pasta meals? How many consumers don't heat such meals enough to kill Listeria? We don't know for sure, but this outbreak proves that at least some do not. Whether that was because the heating instructions were inadequate or they didn't follow the instructions, we don't yet know. There are two approaches a food company can take regarding Listeria in heat and eat foods. One, rely on the consumer to heat or cook the food thoroughly to eliminate the pathogen. Or two, assume some consumers won't heat the food enough to eliminate Listeria and implement appropriate preventive controls so that it is not present. The authorities haven't revealed whether the manufacturer was relying on consumers to eliminate Listeria in its products or not in this case. However, I did note a curious difference between two of the brands in the recall. The recalled Walmart brand Market Side comes in a 12.3 ounce or 349 gram pack with instructions to microwave for 2.5 minutes. The Kroger brand Home Chef comes in an almost identical size at 12.5 ounces or 354 grams and says on the front label that it's ready in 4 minutes, a significant difference in time. I looked for detailed cooking instructions for both brands but couldn't find them online, but the USDA did share the front of pack labels. It's curious that similar products and similar pack sizes from the same manufacturer have such different prep times. Perhaps one brand owner chose a higher microwave time out of an abundance of caution. Alternatively, ready in 4 minutes might include standing and waiting time, but the products could still have the same cook time. Either way, the preparation instructions and cook times should have been properly validated by the manufacturer to ensure the process would eliminate pathogens. No matter whether consumer error or problematic heating instructions contributed to the outbreak, it's worth noting that Listeria monocytogenes has a high infective dose. That means you need a lot of bacteria present to cause illness. In healthy adults, the estimated infective dose is 10 to the 7 to 10 to the 9 CFU or colony-forming units per serving. In vulnerable populations, the dose is much lower. In fact, doses as low as 8,000 CFU per serve have been linked to illness in immunocompromised individuals during outbreaks. Assuming the worst possible infective dose, a one-person serve of contaminated pasta would still have had to contain around 20 cells of Listeria monocytogenes per gram. Using a more typical infective dose estimate for vulnerable populations of 10 to the 5 per serve brings the amount to almost 300 cells or 10 to the 2 per gram of food. That's super high. The legal limits for ordinary bacteria, not pathogens, in ready-to-eat food are typically around 10 to the 4 CFU per gram. The situation looks even worse if you imagine some of the victims may have partially warmed the food, potentially killing off some of the bacteria, or just licked a spoon and so consumed only a tiny portion of unheated food. If you think a possible pathogen load of 10 to the 4 CFU per gram seems crazy high, wait until you hear what consumers had to say about the products. I love reading product reviews, and they can sometimes reveal ongoing quality problems in a product. The product reviews for the Kroger brand were by far the worst I have ever read for any type of product. They reveal apparent spoilage problems which seem to have been occurring for more than a year, including 2 reports of consumers claiming they were sickened by the product and a complaint that the wrong product was in the pack. Below are some of the dozens of 1-star reviews for Home Chef Heat and Eat Chicken Fettuccine Alfredo from Kroger's sale page. The page for the Walmart product has been taken down, so I couldn't check its ratings. So I'm going to read out some of the 1-star reviews. Weird taste, couldn't eat it. Meat had gone bad before the expiration date. Absolutely disgusting. This is enough to make someone puke. Hubby and I both took one bite and threw it in the trash. Both portions had a sour, spoiled, or chemical taste. And those 4 reviews were all from April 2025. Had this last night, and not only did it taste bad, but it also had me chained to the toilet at 6 a.m. violently vomiting for 2 hours. Was before expiration, heated according to instructions, and it was clearly spoiled. Didn't even taste it, had a rancid, pungent smell. This is not the product you receive. It had peas in it, and you could taste the peas. It was so gross. Terrible. Do not recommend. The chicken tasted funny. The worst thing I've ever tasted. Gross. So we're back in reviews from last year now. Was sick for 3 days after eating this for dinner one night. Highly recommend to avoid this. That was from May 2024. This is disgusting. Doesn't even deserve 1 star. Funky taste and smell. I have no clue what they put in it to be so awful. Absolutely awful. Smelled during and after cooking. Tasted horrible. Double checked to make sure the expiration was good. Ate 4 bites and unable to stomach any more. And the final one from February 2024 was wouldn't feed it to my dog. The sauce had an awful flavour. The chicken pieces were basically mush. Couldn't take more than 2 bites before tossing it. 1-star reviews accounted for 23 of the 30 reviews for this product, giving it an overall rating of 1.7 stars. Final thoughts. 1 death is too many. 4 deaths, 4 preventable deaths, are unthinkable. At this time, I don't know if consumers were sickened after they diligently followed the preparation instructions or if consumer error was involved in this outbreak. But given the consumer misuse is likely for heat and eat products, Listeria should not have been present in the products either way. Reviews of one of the products involved in the recall seem to indicate long-term problems with microbial contamination, with consumers reporting spoilage issues for more than 1 year. How could high-value brands like Kroger and Walmart, with access to the best technical resources in the United States, allow what appears to be grossly contaminated product to get to their consumers? It's shocking. In short, 4 deaths and multiple hospitalizations from listeriosis have been linked to heat and eat chicken pasta meals, with authorities finding the outbreak strain in at least 1 lot of product. Illnesses started in July 2024. The outbreak strain was found in product in March 2025, and the recall commenced 3 months later in June 2025. This is an unusual recall because thorough heating should eliminate Listeria. It's not known if there were problems with the heating instructions or if consumers didn't follow them correctly. Consumer misuse is reasonably foreseeable, and for that reason, pathogens like Listeria should be absent from heat and eat products like the ones being recalled. And in the post and the email, you will find a list of links to all the sources and for everything that I've just said, and places that you can read more from the FSIS, the CDC, and the FDA. If you're listening on a podcast app, then there is a link to that post in the show notes.